Adam Danis from Gogam Sports and PickCity.com. Welcome my boy Skojo here after some small technical difficulties, but we're back. Skojo, what's going on? Happy Saturday.
Yeah, happy Saturday. Looking forward to a full slate. Hopefully, it looks like we're going to get a lot more games today, which is good. Enjoying the golf and weather here. I'm sure you're enjoying the golf and weather there in Connecticut. So,
oh yeah, it's great.
Yeah, looking forward.
All right, first game of the day. We're here over to Davidson. URI travels Davidson today. Davidson giving 6 to URI, over under sitting at 135.5.
Yep. I looked at this game. I actually like Davidson in this game too. They've been on fire. I'm going to take the total here. I'm going to play the over 135.5. Some of the trends and everything kind of tend to look to the under here, but I think both of these teams offensively are really good. And Davidson's just playing on another level right now. I really like this Davidson team. They got 4 or 5 guys that could shoot it. They've been shooting just at a high clip. They're on an unbelievable roll right now. I know URI, they've got some, they had some COVID issues. I think they're going to have pretty much everybody back. I think they're missing one guy. But I think this is going to be a game played in the 70s. I've got Davidson here, 79-71. So I like the over here. I'm playing with 10 plus points.
Yeah, Davidson, like I said, Davidson's one of my favorite teams this year. Davidson, I think, is 10-2 to the number on the year, undefeated as a favorite. So I lean Davidson here, but I like the total just because I think URI, if they want to keep it close with Davidson, they're going to have to keep that pace up and score more than usual. They're averaging over 70 a game, which I think they'll hit today. I think Davidson carries the total to the over. So I lean Davidson in the over as well today. 140 should be pretty easily to get. Next game, UConn travels to Seton Hall after a slight COVID break. Now, of course, when you have breaks like this, it could mean 2 things. One, they're on fresh legs, or 2, they're going to start off pretty slow. I think Hurley has trained these guys to stay in good basketball shape, stay a good mindset when they're not playing these type of games. So I think UConn off a break should be just fine. Like I said, fresh legs, guys getting healthy. The biggest thing for today in this game is Sonogo. If Sonogo is active, I like this play 100%. If he's not, I think that it's gonna be a little trouble to get to the 5 or 4.5, whatever you get here. I got it at 6. The line has dropped since I've bet, which was a good sign. So I think it leans towards Sonogo being active. Since Hurley has taken over this team, UConn's 18-12 against the spread on the road, best in the Big East Conference in that time, and they're 10-6 as a road underdog with Hurley, and beating Seton Hall in 8 of their last 9 trips there. I think it's gonna be a tough battle. I think it's gonna be a tough game throughout. I have UConn winning this game by a slight margin. Fan bet maybe, but I think UConn keeps it close in their first game back, especially if Sonogo is back. The numbers when Sonogo is playing and when he's not playing are 2 totally different teams. They're averaging over 80 when he plays. They're averaging just below 70 when he doesn't. Like we know, Seton Hall's a pretty big team, and I think UConn plays right into their style today. So I have UConn plus the 4.5. I got it at plus 6, so it's dropping quick. So get it early. It is an early game at noontime Eastern time, so get that in now. Next game. One of Skoja's games, Northern Iowa travels to Missouri State. Missouri State giving Iowa 4.5 at home. Over under sitting at 141.5.
Yeah, I love this Missouri State team. They're playing. They got off to a pretty slow start, but they were a team that was affected by COVID early, and they were one of those teams that just couldn't get their full team together and on the floor. And now, the last 4 or 5, they've been playing as a full squad. They've looked really good. They're 4-0 against the spread in their last 4, 14-3 against the spread. In their last 17 versus a team with a losing record. This Northern Iowa team, they're streaky. They can get hot from outside. They've got 3 or 4 guys that can shoot the 3 at a pretty good clip, but they've been struggling for one game. I saw them play against St. Bonaventure. they scored 90 and they just played out of their mind in that game. But everything else I've seen from them, they've struggled. And this Missouri State team is clicking right now. And I'm going to go ahead and ride the streak with them at home. I like Missouri State minus the 4.5.
Yeah, I don't know too much about either of these teams. I do know Northern Iowa back in the day was a good tournament team. Knocked off Texas, I think, a couple years ago. So that's really all I know about Northern Iowa. I know Missouri State has played pretty well at home. In their conference.
Yeah, they're 21. They're 21-5-1. The last 27 as a favorite, Missouri State. So, and 3 of those losses were early this year when they were. So if you throw those out, they're 21-2-1. So I really like this Missouri State team at home. So,
and I'm a numbers guy, so those aren't bad numbers to look at. Those are pretty. So next game, Villanova travels to DePaul, giving DePaul 8. DePaul's at home today. Over-under sitting at 136.5. Villanova has crushed this matchup the last couple of years. Villanova is 20-0 the last 20 heads up. 20-0. DePaul hasn't beaten Villanova in 20 straight games. DePaul coming into today 0-3 against the spread in conference play this year. Again, typical DePaul team. They play great non-conference. Come into the conference and just shit the bed. They've played 3 solid teams. I think St. John's, Providence, and I think I forget the other team they played in conference this year. So 3 good teams, and they're playing that 4th good team here in Villanova. Villanova just coming off
Butler. Remember, Butler was that first
Butler,
team.
That's right, Butler. Villanova coming off a 30-point just shellac of Creighton in the last game. Villanova since 2011, so a 10-year span, covering around 60% of their games as favorites, 57% while a road favorite, and 56 of their conference matchups, winning those by an average of 8+ points today. Then that falls in today's matchup with DePaul. DePaul, again, another bad turnover to assist ratio team. I think Villanova gets out and runs early and often. I think Gillespie takes over this game against their guard, Liberty, who I think is one of the most overrated players in the country. I see the total going under today just because I think Villanova handles this game. I think Villanova wins easily, 12-point win here on the road.
Yeah, that game they just played against Creighton. I looked at that number and they were begging for people to bet on Creighton. I mean, all the money was coming on Creighton. That line wasn't moving. Stayed at 11, and you just felt that Nova was going to control that game and trounce them, and that they did, beat them 71-45. And it's a Jay Wright team. This Nova team's going to be there at the end. They're just going to get better. They struggled against some early, but come March, this Nova team's just going to be right there, and they're going to be strong. So yeah, I like Nova versus DePaul today. DePaul, they like to get up and down. They can score, they can get hot, and they can score. But I think this Villanova team's kind of on a roll right now. So yeah. I would lean Nova in this game.
I watched DePaul's last game against St. John's, and like you said, they go on these streaks. It's kind of like Marquette too. Like we've watched Marquette play too. Marquette and DePaul are 2 similar teams in the sense that they give up like a 12-0 run, but they come back with a 14-0 run with them. But today, I think Villanova handles that situation pretty well. I don't see Villanova letting DePaul go on one of those DePaul runs today. And I see just Villanova just handling the game, Gillespie doing his business, 3-point shooting improving over the last couple of games of Villanova. I just think the only way DePaul is close in this game is if Liberty has one of those games where he's shooting, 8 for 12 in the field with a couple of threes, and he's got 30+. But he hasn't really shown much to me in conference play where he can take control of a big East game like Villanova today. So I'm really heavy on Villanova. Your next game today, one of your favorites, UAB on the road against Rice. UAB giving Rice 9.5 at home today. Over under sitting at 148.5.
Yeah, this UAB team, I've been on them the last 3 or 4 games. They've been one of my favorite teams to bet on, and they're solid. They're good defensively. They're good offensively. They've covered against Rice the last 3. They've beaten by double digits in the last 3 matchups. They're 4-0 against the spread in their last 4, 10-1 against the spread following against the spread win, and they're 6-1 against the spread versus a team with a straight up winning record. So I'm just going to keep riding this UAB team. I like them by double digits here. I think they push it to between 14 and 17 in this game. What I like about them is they just don't have and I just don't think it's going to be today. So UAB minus the 9.5.
Yeah, obviously UAB playing really good basketball these past couple games, and you've been hammering them and profiting off them. So I think you ride the trend here again with 9.5, and I think easy 10-point win here on the road. Rice doesn't scare me too much on offense. UAB, again, shooting the ball lights out these past couple games, so I see a pretty easy handled win by UAB today as well. Notre Dame taking a flyer today. I am Notre Dame minus 1.5 at Georgia Tech. Over under sitting at 135.5, so pretty low number. Today is just the total fade of Georgia Tech for me. I faded them last game at home with Louisville. I hit that one. Georgia Tech at home is now 1-7-1, 1-7-1 against the spread at home, 1-4-1 as an underdog, and 0-3-1 as a home dog this year. Just been playing terrible basketball, turn the ball over, not shooting well from three, not hitting free throws at all. Georgia Tech has lost 6 of the last 7, failing to score more than 70 in any of those games. And again, we saw Notre Dame just be a good UNC team, in my opinion. That matchup today were stretch 4, stretch 5 versus UNC. They killed UNC with those stretch 4s and stretch 5s hitting threes. I think their center hit 6 of his first 7 3-pointers last game. Same type of matchup today. Georgia Tech plays a bigger center. We'll have trouble getting out to the 3-point line. Again, Notre Dame plays 5 guys who can shoot threes, 5 guys who can stretch the floor at all times, really. So I see Notre Dame handing Georgia Tech a pretty hard. I see a double-digit win here by Notre Dame off a great confidence-boosting win against UNC.
Are we back?
Did I lose you?
Yep. No, I got you.
All right, cool. Your next game today, Iona travels to St. Louis. St. Louis giving Iona 4.5. Kind of a big number for Iona today. Over under sitting at 147.5.
This is actually going to be a really good game between two, mid-major teams. The St. Louis, they're a good team in the A10. Outside chance to win the A10. They're a good offensive team. This Iona team, I keep saying it. They're not a mid-major team. They've got a good, Patino's brought a lot of players in there. I really like their backcourt. I like their defense, and I always love Patino in-game adjustments. Iona, they seem to get off the slow starts. They've been struggling early in the first half, but the second half they've just been, lights out all year long. So this Iona team getting 4.5 on the road, it's going to be a tough game. I think this is going to be a close game throughout. It's going to come down to those last 5 minutes. I'm going to take the 4.5. I wouldn't be shocked to see Iona pull out a small win here, but I do think this game stays close throughout. And if you're going to give me 4.5, you're going to give me Patino.
Sorry, this connection's brutal. All right, we're going to move on. Tennessee at LSU. LSU at home this year. 13-1 in the year, dominating at home. 9-0 record and margin of victory sitting at over 30. LSU team is also 13-0 as a favorite, 9-0 at home as a favorite. Margin of victory sitting at 32.8 in those matchups. LSU atop the SEC with 11-3 record against the spread. 9-0 against the spread at home and 11-2 against the spread as a favorite. Will Wade joining LSU in 2017 is 57-7, 89% straight up as a home favorite, 64-10, 86.3% at home, 50-28 against SEC, and is 28-12 after a loss. Will Wade is 3-1 in his career at LSU against Tennessee, only loss being on the road. Tennessee, second true road matchup, are 0-1 in the year, losing to Alabama. So I see Tennessee coming to LSU, getting their ass kicked today. LSU by 1.5. is a pretty easy win for them today. Tennessee, again, lost to Alabama shorthanded. They had some injuries going into that game. But LSU, man, at home, like I said, 13-1 the year, dominating at home, 9-0 record, and margin of victory sitting at over 30. We just saw them take care of a Kentucky team that just had no chance in that game. They had a chance down the stretch, but that whole game was just dominated by LSU's defense. Again, LSU 11-2 against the spread at home, 11-2 against the spread as a favorite. And then Will Wade's numbers, like I said, coaching wise, coaching comes into it. I know it's players got to play the game, but Will Wade in LSU, like I said, 57-7 straight up at home as a favorite, 64-10 straight up at home, 50-28 straight up against the SEC, and it's 28-12 after a loss. It's just like these numbers for a coach who is kind of new to LSU has just been on fire lately.
Yeah, this two good defensive teams here too, and LSU is a different team at home on offense, and the end of that Kentucky game was just a crazy ending. But yeah, I mean, you can't go against those numbers. This is a game I wouldn't touch. These are both teams for me that I have a hard time winning on. So this is a game that I just straight stay away from.
Yeah, in Tennessee on the road this year, they haven't really had too much competition. Again, only really road game they've had so far is Alabama. Again, we don't know how they would have played if they were fully healthy. But I'm just looking at numbers here. I'm going off straight numbers with LSU. I can't really stay away from that. Too much value there for me. Next game for you, Colorado State travels to San Diego State. Colorado State getting 2.5 on the road. Over under sitting at 134.5.
Yeah, I actually got this at 3.5. But yeah, Colorado State, San Diego State. San Diego State's a great defensive team. They're tough at home. This is going to be another one of those close games, just like the Iona game. But Colorado State is just a better offensive team. You can be a good defensive team, but if you can't score, you're going to have a hard time winning. And the San Diego State team, when they play good teams, they can hold them down, but they just can't score. And, Bradley came over for San Diego State, and he was supposed to give them, but this Bradley, I think you talked about Liberty being one of the most overrated guys. This dude is the most overrated guy in college basketball. He's a flopping machine. And, he came over from Cal. And he's a lefty. I mean, he's a hard-nosed kid. He plays hard. He fits in with the San Diego State team. But I just, offensively, he does nothing for me. He might beat me here, whatever. But I'm going to take the better offensive team. I like Colorado State to win this game straight up. It's going to be close. I think San Diego State, they're tough. They're going to keep this game low scoring, low 60s, high 50s, somewhere around there. But I just think Colorado State eventually is just going to pull away here. Yeah,
again, you're a West Coast guy. You know a lot about these teams. San Diego State at home hasn't really been excellent. It hasn't been too great at home. Colorado State is one of those teams where they can come in your building and just take control of your game. I think San Diego State has to play Colorado State basketball today, meaning they have to adjust, even though San Diego State's at home. I think Colorado State controls the game for most of the – I think it'll be close first half, but I wouldn't be surprised if Colorado State gets out to a 6-7 point lead second half early, off an early second half run and takes control of that second half.
If they do get a lead like that, it's going to be hard for San Diego State to come back. So
yeah, I agree with that because, like you said, San Diego State's troubled on offense. They're kind of like Virginia of the West Coast for me. I just think if they're in a lead, if they're in a big lead, they're hard to come back on just because they play solid defense throughout the game. But if they get out to a 10-point deficit, it's just hard for them to come back. They can't put together 4 or 5 quality offensive possessions in a row. And I think Colorado State, if that happens, just is going to roll today pretty easily. Florida for me at Auburn. Auburn giving Florida 7.5 coming into Auburn today. I can both say I can say it's pretty easily one of our favorite teams this year to watch and one of our favorite teams to look forward to in the tournament this season. Obviously Auburn coming in with probably a top 3 player in the country in Jabari Smith. Just lethal on offense.
I think he's the number 1 pick.
He's leaning towards that way. He's leaning towards the best pick in the draft. I mean, just incredible talent on offense. Long, can shoot anywhere in the court. Mid-range is spectacular. 3-point, he's getting better and better as the season goes on. And his defense too is getting better. I've watched most of the games this year, and he's using his athletic ability and his length to steal more passes and get out on the open floor and stop and creating more shots for his team. And he's looking to pass too now, which is getting scary. If you watch his possessions off the dribble, he's looking to pass now too. So he's just getting better and better as this year goes on. I think this Auburn team is going right with him. Auburn 10-4 against the spread in the year, 6-1 against the spread at home, 10-3 against the spread as a favorite. They just take control of these games in these situations, 7-point spreads. Florida coming off a bad second half against Alabama. I don't know if you watched any of that game, Scoj, but Florida was up 4 at half. They come out the second half and give up like a 20-5 run to Alabama.
Are you talking about Syracuse? No, I'm just kidding. I saw that they shit the bed too against Miami. So,
oh my God, that was terrible too. I saw that. Florida 2-3 against the spread away from home this year. 2 bad losses to Maryland and Texas Southern. Florida with 1 quality win this year. That was against Ohio State early when Ohio State was struggling. Not saying they're not still struggling, but back at the early stage of the year, Ohio State just did not look good at all.
Well, I'm telling you right now, this Auburn team, get your Final Four and your championship tickets on them right now. They are set up. This team is a March tournament team. I love the way that they're put together. Obviously a lot of it depends on the route that they get and what kind of seed they get, but I think they're going to be a top 4 seed. And what I like about this Auburn team is they can play however you want to play. They're like Baylor. You want to grind it out.
Yep.
Auburn will grind it out with you. You want to go fast. They'll play fast with you. So I love this Auburn team. I can't wait till March. I can't wait to see where they end up. I think they're going to win the SEC personally. But yeah, I love the way this Auburn team is put together. So I'm really looking forward to these. Hopefully they stay healthy. Hopefully COVID doesn't affect them, and hopefully they get a really good seed and a good path, because they're one of my teams to win it all.
Yeah, and we talked about like adjusting the pace of play and how they want to play their game, which they don't really have an identity, which is fine. Teams who don't have an identity but can adjust to certain matchups are the ones who are the best teams in the country. You look at Auburn; they beat LSU almost by double digits, and LSU is one of the slower paced teams in the country. And then you have Auburn, who plays Nebraska, who is one of the fastest paced teams in the country, and blows them out of the water, out of their building. And I think just Auburn, well-coached team, and Bruce Pearl, who's been there, done that before in the SEC. They've shown they can beat these type of teams. Florida, not too scary in offense. They're more of a grinded out, slow pace, down the post with their big man type of guy. I think Auburn just plays well into this game today. I think Auburn takes control. I think Auburn shoots the ball again well from 3 at home. The dude Wendell Green is just shooting the ball lights out, especially at home this year. I see a 15-point game today, blowout in the SEC, just because I don't think Florida, one, their mindset is probably shook because of the blowout in the second half against Alabama. Their tails between their legs. Florida just on offense, I don't think can hang with this Auburn team. And I think Auburn's mentality right now is just kill. And I don't think they're going to let up if they're big in the second half. And I don't think this game's close at any point in the game. So I got Auburn by 10+ easily. I see a 15+ game today. Before we get into parlays, we're gonna do a quick recap since we had some technical difficulties. Scoj has the over here at 130, 141.5. I'm also on Davidson personally. I think this team just puts up close to 80, and the total goes over pretty easily.
135.5. The over is one. The total is 135. Yeah,
sorry, yep.
135.5. Yep.
UConn, like I said, if Sonogo was playing today, I think they went outright. If Sonogo was playing, if he doesn't play, I still take the spread. But I have UConn winning today if the big man plays. Northern Iowa at Missouri State, like we said, Missouri State a pretty solid team at home. Scores, what were your numbers again? This ATS spread?
Missouri State 4-0 against the spread in their last 4, 14-3 against the spread versus a team with a losing record, 21-5-1 in their last 27 as a favorite, and 16-4-1 in their last 21 versus a team with a losing record. So I'm going to ride the streaks with them today. So I like this Missouri, and they're, like I said, they were banged up, or not banged up, but COVID early kind of affected this team. They've last 4 or 5 games they've had their whole team. Their rotations are looking good. So I'm going to go ahead and start riding this Missouri State team. I think they're going to handle Northern Iowa today.
Awesome. Next game is my game. Villanova again travels to DePaul. I think Villanova just too good for this DePaul team. Too many turnovers by DePaul today, and I think Villanova rolls pretty easily off a big win against Creighton. UAB, one of Scotia's favorites today. He got him a 10-point victory today over Rice. Anything else you want to add to this, Stoge?
No, I just UAB is one of those teams right now. I'm riding. They're hot. They're playing good ball on both ends. They don't ever have. It seems like they don't have a lull during a game. They're solid. They don't go through these big 5, 6, 7 minute where they don't score. Mm-hmm. It seems like they always hold a team to like 5 or 6 minutes without scoring because of their defense is that good. So they're going to eventually take a run here. It might be close early, but I look for that spurt eventually somewhere where UAB pushes it to 14-17 and holds it there the rest of the game.
Gotcha. My game, Notre Dame, again, like I said earlier, just a fade on Georgia Tech this year. I'll give you the numbers one more time. Georgia Tech at home, 1-7-1 against the spread, 1-4-1 as a dog, and have not covered a spread when they're a home dog. 0-3-1 as a home dog this year. Coming in, Georgia Tech has lost 6 of the last 7, and has not scored 70 in each of those 7 games. Next game, Iona at St. Louis. I think this is where we cut out a little bit. You said Iona at home. You see maybe a slight victory for them today.
They're on the road at St. Louis, but the 4.5. I just think this is going to be a close game. I like Pitino. I like his ability to adjust. Iona, they've been a slow starting team all year long. They're usually behind or even maybe like a 1 or 2 point lead versus teams that they should be blowing out at halftime, and then they usually take care of business in the second half. So I see this game being a close game down to the last 5 minutes, and I'm going to take a Pitino coach team in the last 5 minutes, even on the road. I think if they keep it close and they're within 1 or 2 with about 5 minutes to go, I like Iona to pull out a win here, but I'm going to take the 4.5.
Awesome. I totally agree. I'm on Iona to win this game, and a little parlay we'll get to it in a couple minutes. LSU again at home, numbers are just crazy for LSU at home as a favorite. I'm going with those numbers again and taking it to the house. Colorado State has a San Diego State. We think Colorado State handles this game pretty easily. Like I said, if Colorado State gets into this game and gets the lead early, I think this game could be.
Yeah, and I don't think Colorado State's going to handle this game easily. San Diego State is a tough defensive team, especially at home, and they got a good fan base, so it's going to be a wild game there. But I think Colorado State's got more offense, and eventually you've got to score. I mean, you can play defense all day long, but you got to put the ball in the hoop. San Diego State just has not been able to do that this year on a consistent basis. So I like Colorado State. I'll take the 3.5.
Gotcha. And like you just said, Auburn, easy win today, I think, at home. Coming in with their heads high, and Florida coming in with their tails between the legs of a bad loss to Alabama. All right, let's get into the fun part of the show, where most of you guys maybe scroll ahead sometimes and cheat, but we're gonna give you some parlays today. Coach, how many parlays you got today?
I'm going to play 2. I don't have any dog parlays. I just didn't see anything that I really liked on the dog side, so I've got 2 smaller plays. If you follow me on Action App, I do have an 8 team that I am playing. That I like, I'm pretty confident in. But for the show here, I've got 2 smaller. I've got a 3 team, Villanova, Davidson, UAB. You can get that at plus 102, or I got it at plus 102. You can get it right around even money. I really like that. And then I've got a 2 team, Missouri State and BYU, plus 140. So I like those 2 teams. I like Missouri State to cover their game. BYU, they're playing St. Mary's, and St. Mary's is coming off about a week and a half of COVID. They haven't been able to practice, so I think there's going to be some rust there. St. Mary's is always in every game, just the way they play. They're a Virginia style, San Diego State style team. So this game will probably be close, but I just BYU, this is an elevation. So the fact that they haven't practiced for a week and a half conditioning, that kind of gives me some concern. So I think BYU pulls this out.
Awesome. I have one 4-leg parlay that I'm personally going to take, and then I have another 3-leg parlay that is an underdog parlay that I kind kind of fall more in love with it as we talk about it. My 4-leg parlay, you can get it on FanDuel at plus 113. I got Houston at home against Wichita State. I got Villanova at DePaul. Like I said, Villanova has won the last 20 straight up head-to-head matchups against DePaul. Don't see that changing today.
So are you saying pound DePaul money line?
That makes more sense, doesn't it? How things have been going this year. Trends don't matter at all. I just toss out the window during conference play. I got Baylor on the road against TCU. And then I have this is my one that I'm a little worried about. UCLA takes on Cal at home. I know Cal against USC I didn't think they play a bad game, but I think most people expected California to maybe put up more of a fight early on and maybe put the pressure on USC to get their first loss of the year. But I think this UCLA team, if fully healthy, is just too much for California today.
Yeah, I wouldn't be worried about that at all. California, they schooled Arizona State at home, but Arizona State they're a train wreck with COVID and injuries this year. Haven't been healthy all year. Haven't had their full team all year. So kind of throw that game out the window. They play a USC team that hadn't played a game in 3 weeks and were pretty much controlled. And this UCLA team I think is better than USC. So I mean you might want to be a little worried. That's fine, but I think they handle this game easy.
Okay. Then my next one is a 3-leg all on the dog parlay. It gets plus 1590 on the line at FanDuel. It's UConn if Sonogo is playing. It's a big if. UConn money line on the road against Seton Hall. East Carolina on the road against Temple. Temple is just atrocious. I can't stand that team. And then Iona on the road against St. Louis today. 3-leg parlay. I think all teams have a pretty good shot to win today. On the road, all 3 on the road, which boosts the odds a little bit more. You get that at plus 1590, so basically 1,600 odds on FanDuel. So if you wait a little longer and you throw another team in there, you can get to plus 2,000 if you want to add a little more juice. But I think those 3 teams have a legitimate shot to win today, especially Iona and UConn. East Carolina just to show up today on the road against a bad Temple team. I know East Carolina is not much really to show for this season in a bad American conference, but I think Temple can lose to anybody at this point. They just haven't shown me anything. So, anything else, Coach? These guys on a beautiful Saturday in Arizona, and I'm looking at the inches of snow in Connecticut.
Yep, I'll shoot you some videos from the golf course.
If you weren't live, I'd probably flip you off, but it's all right.
Well, you sent me snow blowing videos, so I'll send you some golf videos.
Good news though, I am golfing tomorrow.
Indoors?
Indoor simulator. Let's go.
Yeah.
So you enjoy your beautiful warm weather. I know how warm it is out there right now, but enjoy your warm weather out in Arizona. And I'm gonna go out.
Do you guys have the Top Golfs there, where you have the simulator?
We have a simulator. Basically, you hit into a screen. We do have a Top Golf in Foxwoods, our local casino, where we can bet now, obviously. But it's not normal Top Golf. I've played Top Golf out in Vegas, where it's a real Top Golf situation. Yeah. But no, Connecticut sucks, man. Don't ever come out here. I'm gonna end up coming out to you. So you enjoy your Saturday. We'll be back tomorrow, same time. Hopefully, goes a little smoother with some non-technical difficulties. And the internet is the internet. Sometimes it fucks with you. So we'll be back tomorrow, 10:30 a.m. Do a quick recap of our Saturday slate and probably a huge slate tomorrow, hopefully with no COVID. So we'll be back tomorrow, guys. We'll see you around. Please bet responsibly. Have a great Saturday.